So there comes a point in this spiritual journey, in this ascension of consciousness, in the awakening process, whatever you'd like to call it, where you can no longer find words to describe your findings. You feel as if you're somewhat losing your mind, and you somewhat feel as if, we're past the point of thinking something isn't right, but you start feeling uneasy, unsettled with your findings because you have no words for it, and because you understand that you're reaching a point, you're reaching a level that the average person isn't willing to not accept, but they've yet to even see beyond certain veils that are willing to allow them to understand or accept this to be valid, to be reality, or to even be a conversation. So the further you get as well, the more lonely it becomes, because the less you will resonate with other people. However, it comes at a price of how much do you want to know the answer or what you're looking for. Because that's ultimately what spirituality is. You can sell it a million different ways, but what spirituality is at the end of the day is wanting to know the end of the movie, the end of the book, before reaching the end. Religion is wanting to believe in that ending, wanting to believe in that final outcome to be a certain way, and you're blindly believing in it. Spirituality allows you to reach that end before actually reaching it physically and seeing at last what remains beyond this concept of death that so many of us are terrified of. But back to the beginning, about the further you get, the less words you're going to have for your findings. What this means is the further you go, the more you're going to realize that everything is the singularity. There is only one mind. There is only one consciousness. Which means when you strip yourself of this egoic mind, and what that means, stripping yourself, what that means is removing all blockages, all things that you have clinged onto in the mind and believed in as yourself. What you have dedicated your whole life to believing in as yourself is dying, is being mourned by you. There is a process to it. This is what an ego death is. It doesn't just happen in an instant. But this is what stripping yourself is. To die in that immediate moment is to allow yourself to surrender and allow something which you never have allowed before to take over. Because so long as we're here and now, it is our egoic mind that is driving, that is in control, or so it thinks, right? But what I mean is we've never surrendered ourselves to something other than this egoic mind. It's been in the driver's seat this whole time. We'll never let go, even in death, especially in death, because this is what we're fighting to hold on to, is the dream, the idea of who we think we are. But little do we realize, once we surrender and let go, everything that we've been searching for, all the questions we've been asking through this egoic mind is revealed to you. It just comes at the bitter price of you're not who you think you are. And so when you mourn the loss of yourself, you begin to accept that you're not who you think you are, which opens your horizon, opens your vision, opens your mind a little more to be able to see beyond things you weren't able to see into because you believed in yourself as this one identity, this individual. But you have been something so much more. We are undivided. We're not at one time in one place. Places, people, events, times are all an illusion. And it's not that they're not real. It's not that they're not happening. What it means to be an illusion is that ultimately, again, you're not who you think you are. You aren't just one person happening at one place and one time. When you die and you have a deeper understanding, and again, dying isn't just something that has to happen through psychedelics. It's not something that has to happen at a spiritual retreat. It can happen right here in your very home and at your very place of your job. It doesn't have to be at a specific place, a time, anywhere. It can happen anywhere, because death is not physical. Because you are not this body. The mind does not live in the body lives in the mind. What we've assumed ourselves to be is but a misconception, but again, we've never allowed ourselves to even think beyond certain beliefs, certain aspects of reality, because we are so heavily rooted into the egoic mind. And that's why, again, some of these answers or questions seem to just elude us. Every time we answer one question, 5, 10 more are brought up. Because ultimately you're chasing your own tail. You are something so much more. And it is you the whole time. But you are not the questioner nor the answer. You are not the person that is asking the question nor the person that is answering it. You are not the dual principle of the seer and what's seen, of inside and outside. You are that fixed point called the singularity. And this is what I mean by you'll have fewer words to describe your findings, the reality of what truth actually is, because then you'll see that you're not in some place. This is not the world. When you look outside, you're not looking at the earth. You are looking into the void itself. You are looking into the depths of your own mind. You are looking at the very screen to your consciousness. We assume as human beings, as this egoic mind, that when we look outside, we're all seeing the same locally real and central object we're calling the earth. And we're assuming in our mind that we're all existent within this object. But the further you go into expanding your consciousness, the more you'll be able to realize and be honest with yourself that the only place you have ever been is the mind itself. This is why we haven't been back to the moon. This is why we pose the very idea that we could touch the moon, because it reinforces the idea that the earth and the universe and everything in it is a centralized object separate from ourselves that we can reach out and touch, that is physically there. But the earth, nor the moon, nor the sun are physical objects. Everything is a mental construct, and this kind of ties into we're inside of a simulation, because again, you are the duality. You are and you aren't. Right? Because it is and it isn't, and it isn't and it is at the same time. You're not inside the earth and you're not outside the earth. And that's why for the earth to be a ball or to be in any shape at all is irrelevant. Because you are the inside and outside principle, the seer and what's seen, the 6 and the 9 and the 6, the you and the me. From the 9 vantage point, it's a 6. From the 6 vantage point, it's a 9. But when you realize the two are one and the same, the you and me are the very same conscious construct that we're calling life, that we're calling reality, then you understand that reality itself is subjective when it comes to the mind. Because everything that we are seeing and experiencing is being shaped and created through the mind itself, which is where the term seeing is believing comes into play. Again, you are looking into the depths of your own mind. This is just a screen to your own consciousness for you and you alone. This ties into the quote of, you are the universe experiencing itself. And the highest truth of God, if you would say, is that you are the only one here. Now, we internalize that through our egoic mind as, I, Tyler, this mind body, am the only one here. No, You are something so much more than what you are able to comprehend through this egoic mind, so it terrifies us when we say, you are the only one here. But when you expand your consciousness beyond just one egoic mind and one body, then you're comforted, then you're able to, I don't know if the word is experience or internalize that beingness, that is, that I am, whatever. It has no word, but you are able to simply understand who you are here without the egoic mind present, by surrendering yourself to something beyond your own beliefs of who you are. And the only way to do that is through death, through the surrendering of your beliefs, or the investigation into your beliefs of who they belong to, because they belong to you as this I character. Excuse me. But the I character is just that. It's a veil. It's a character that we're all playing. That's what makes the word I universal. I is what we all universally sign on to, if you will, through this character, as this character, and we become different through the egoic mind of I. I am is God, is one, is unity, is all of us, until I am becomes an individual, an egoic mind, separate to the whole. And again, this information isn't for everybody, because some people ask the question, well, what happens if all of us were to know this at once? It would never happen, and it can never happen. That's the beauty of it. It's just like the ocean. One side of the current doesn't try and conquer the other. It's one motion. It's all one motion. It's the very same with the sun and the moon, the seasons, the same with your blood flow, the same with everything in the universe. It's a perfectly intelligent design. So for those seeking this information, it is there. It is accessible to you. Those who resonate on this level or with this frequency will find these videos. Because again, many people want the truth. They don't want to be sold something. They don't want to do chakra work. They don't want to do something, superficial. We want results. And it's very natural to want results, but it's also a catch when you come to someone and they tell you they have no practice for you. Because that makes the person want to give up. It makes it feel impossible. How is there no practice to truth? How is there no practice to getting there? Because the catch of it is you're already there. And the only thing a guru, an enlightened person that you would come to can do is not charge you to come back, but to open your eyes, or I should say open your eye, the mind, by removing the veils of who you believe you are, so that you can see at last it's you the whole time you're looking for. It's you the whole time you're waiting for. All these questions that you've been asking through this egoic mind you believe yourself to be are leading up to the demise of the very same egoic mind. That is the catch of awakening. We think we're going to awaken by meeting God, by meeting something other than ourselves. But we don't realize in the process of getting there, or again, you're already there, but we don't know that when we're in the journey, which is the whole point in the journey. But we don't realize we're already there, so we have to, it is a journey. It's the same as the Wizard of Oz. You're leaving one place to get to another, to realize you've had it the whole time, to realize you are the it the whole time. But again, all the questions we're asking through the egoic mind does not realize that these answers are eventually going to lead to its own demise when you're honest with yourself, when you're truthful enough with yourself, and when you're persistent enough. Any great mind throughout antiquity has found the same result of the singularity. There is an inevitable outcome to asking questions and questioning reality. And it's inevitable. There is no government, there is no third party being that can stop you or prevent you from achieving or reaching it. Because you are the it the whole time. And that's what's so beautiful about this. You don't have to have money, you don't have to have wealth, you don't have to have riches, you don't have to have anything. And again, wealth is not money. But that's what spirituality online has become. How to manifest an abundance of money, an abundance of wealth. Money was never the wealth, but it's become the wealth through spirituality, which shows you we've fallen into the trick of the dream world. We're trying to anchor ourselves deeper into the dream world by bringing ourselves an abundance of superficial riches, which only anchor us deeper into this comfort, which only comfort us deeper into the dream world, so that we'll never ask a question. So that when death does come, it will be a tragedy for all of us. But again, those who persist enough all reach the same inevitable outcome. It's that we are one. All is one. It's that you are not birthing and you are not dying, which relates to energy cannot be destroyed, it's only transferred. If you want to put a word to it, because again, ultimately, when you reach the truth, the final truth, because again, there is no final truth. All these words are made up, so you have to understand to listen to these videos with the heart and not the mind, right? But you understand, when I say you reach the final truth, I'm not actually talking about a level or some stage or some dimension where you reach this place. There is no such thing as a final truth, but I'm trying to relay this into words, right? But when you reach this final truth, you will have no word for it. Because there is no place, there is no time, there is no where, there is no one that awakens. Tyler does not awaken from the dream. Tyler did not awaken from the dream. When Tyler dies, and I experience the ego death of Tyler, yes, I still respond to Tyler when Tyler is called here, but in my mind, spiritually, in my heart, in my core, when death comes, there will be no dying, because I have already been through it. I have already done it. I've seen beyond that veil, because I've seen beyond the veil of Tyler. And you understand that all is one, which means every person, at every time, at every place, at everywhere, it's always been you. And what you thought to be the earth is nothing but your void, your nothingness, being projected so that you can bear witness to your own formless light. Because that's all our thoughts are formless thoughts in motion, energy without form. And what this is a screen for us to project this energy onto, to project our beliefs onto, so that this can become whatever we want it to be. You don't understand, but you are already living in the dream. And what I mean is, what you're trying to fulfill, what you are trying to achieve through this egoic mind day after day, you have already achieved, not through the ego, but through your soul, through your spirit, through us as this one beingness. We have already achieved it. And the reason we are the most unhappy species here is because we think and believe with full conviction we are this egoic mind, and we as this egoic mind have to do something so far out and beyond incredible and impossible and amazing to impress everyone. But none of us realize we're missing the gift, each and every one of us, because all of us have already fulfilled ourselves by simply being here. Being here, being now, is an impossibility in itself. But we forget, by becoming such complex humans, by becoming such a complex veil. That's all a human is a veil, an entity that we have taken on as this image. And we've repeated it so many times that it's common sense now, it's common knowledge. But what we don't understand is this image has changed. It's evolved throughout time, if you want to use that word. And we are continuing to evolve right now in this very moment as this image. When you look up the Corona-19 vaccine patent, what it talks about is the mutation of your genes. So whether you've taken the vaccine or not, most likely, more than likely, you've contracted the coronavirus. It's mutated your genes. You have mutated. And if you've taken the vaccine, you have mutated. Mutation is evolution. You are evolving every second, every minute of every day, even when we don't know it, even when we don't feel it, even when we don't realize it, even when we don't believe in it. But evolution doesn't require our belief. Again, it takes us being honest with ourselves, because it's undeniable. You take a picture of a fast food spot on the corner of the busiest section. Take a picture of that fast food place 50 years ago, assuming it was still there and it's still here today. And take a picture of it 50 years from now. And tell me how the skyline or the buildings around it or the trees around it don't change. Or the billboards or the style of the buildings, the color of the buildings don't change. We don't realize it, but that right there is evolution. When the inside changes, the outside changes, and vice versa. It's all one and the same. And that's what we don't realize. But how do you think you get from the 1970s style of buildings and all that to, boom, the 2000s? It doesn't happen overnight. These buildings go through construction, paint jobs. They reconstruct the way they look. Certain architectures. That's evolution happening right before your eyes on the outside. And it's happening on the inside too. It's just not as noticeable. Excuse me, sorry. I'm fighting a cold, so I'm toward the end of it, but I'm almost there. But take a look at human beings as this image 50 years ago from the 1950s. Look at how we looked then. Fast forward to today, how we look now. That's evolution. It doesn't happen overnight, but through time. Evolution is inevitable because, again, you are not this body, you are not this character. What changes is not real, and what's real does not change. You see, we identify and attach ourselves to what is transpiring through this moment, instead of realizing that this moment, which is not moving, which is not coming or going, which has been here now and will be here forever, is our truest face. This is what we are. When you meditate, it's putting you in alignment, in sync, back in unity with this moment, without your mind, without your egoic mind present to tell you it's a certain time, to tell you it's a certain place. Now is the only time there is, because now is the immovable presence. Now is the singularity. Now is the fixed point on the clock. That's why our concept of the atom, our concept of the universe, our concept of time, our concept of direction with the compass, it all features the same principle of a dot and circumference, because you are the dot and circumference. You are the immovable point within your brain, within your mind. And the universe and everything around it is revolving around you. You are the dot and circumference. Virtual reality will show you the very same thing. It's showing you yourself. It's mirroring you back to yourself. As soon as you take off the headset, again, your third eye, the fixed point within you, as soon as you remove the headset, you remove the virtual experience, the screen that was just being produced, and everything in it. But the moment you put it back on, there is instantly a screen. There is instantly yourself being able to bear witness your own light. We've taken these concepts from ourselves and put them into our technology, put them into our systems of time, of direction. But again, we didn't invent the wheel invented us. The Fibonacci sequence, everything coming from a fixed point, from a singularity. It's written in our thumbprint, because this was written by ourselves. This was coded by ourselves. But we're too close to the project to see it. We're so blinded by ourselves being an individual, we're so in full belief that we are just this individual, that we're trying to understand the macrocosm through being this little microcosmic ant. And you'll never understand the entirety through such a small lens. You have to expand your lens here. That will allow you to see further into and beyond such veils, such great veils that we have put forth for ourselves. Because again, the Hindu proverb says, if God chose to hide something, God would choose man to hide it in, because it would be the very last place man would look. And guess what? You are that. You are it. You are God. But again, it has no name. So the name is irrelevant. You can say whatever name you'd like, but you are that. You are it. And ultimately, you have put something here and hidden it from yourself. And you have scoured the atoms, the seas, the lands, the skies, history, conspiracies, when you hid it right within your own pocket. Right within your own mind, you have hidden this gem from yourself. And you haven't had to move an inch. You haven't had to read a single book. It's not a learning process, it's a complete unlearning process. Because everything we learn up to the point at which we begin to question reality is only reinforcing us deeper into this dream world. And reinforcing us deeper into the egoic mind. That which we're seeking to get rid of, to be rid of, or to see beyond, to awaken from. And there are some people that even use drugs, use alcohol, use sedatives, and again, no judgment. I've been there myself. But there are some people that use this, and here's my point. To escape the egoic mind, little do you realize, you're already there. That place, that mind state you're trying to get to escape this egoic mind, you're already there. You're already free from it all. You're already free from the egoic mind. But again, we believe with such full conviction that we are this egoic mind, that we suffer day after day through it. The suffering, the emotion is very real. The ego is not, however. It is just a thought that we suffer immensely through, and even commit suicide to. This is why we are the most unhappy species, because of this egoic mind. Again, we've become so complex as this human entity, as this human concept, that we are bored with the very greatness of life, of existence, the very impossibility. We are bored with it, which is why we need to invent more. which is why time is getting faster. We need more distractions. We're bored already with the impossibility, which we already are. But again, we're too close to the project. We're too close to reality to see. You're already there. This is heaven. There is nothing to look forward to after this. This is the dream. This is what we've been waiting for. But it's simply knowing too much on the surface level that prevents us from being able to enjoy this. And what I mean by knowing too much on the surface level, and I've used this example before, is, oh, that's a tree. Oh, look at those trees. Oh, feel the wind, it's nice. But just like you have a word, you have a definition, you have a pre-assumed idea of what everything is. And you don't realize that every day is different. Same presence, yet it's different. But when you truly have eyes to see, when you have opened the third eye, you see the beauty, the love, in every blade of grass, and every leaf that's being moved by the wind, and everything, because you realize the impossibility in simply being here. Because once you see the truth for what it is, once you see yourself without a body, if you want to call it death, you realize that you as God, as this oneness, are formless energy. And there is no experience as this oneness. You're simply a void, a blob of nothingness, yet the presence of everything. But how can people be known in that sense? Nothing is separate. Nothing even appears separate because nothing has an image. It's just a void. It's a nothingness. So what did we do? We created an experience. We projected our light into our nothingness so that we could perceive others. You, me. So we could talk to ourselves, experience ourselves, enjoy ourselves. It can be beautiful when you understand you're the only one here. Because it's not in this sense. It's in as the whole, as the entirety, you are the it. This entire thing you call life is nothing but a gift, is nothing but your own radiant love, simply shining forth because it is, because it loves you. And it's giving you this experience. And the most beautiful part, no matter how much we worry ourselves with this, is this beingness, this thing we call life, has no on and off switch, as we assume it does, and as we exist through as the egoic mind. The egoic mind begins by birthing someday, and so we assume it will miraculously die someday, end someday. And so we go on projecting this principle into everything that we see and experience. But again, you're not who you think you are. And when you start re-examining who you think you are, it makes you re-examine what everything is. And then you realize that you're not born and you're not dying. Which then makes you realize the earth, the universe, is not birthing and dying. It's not moving. It's not suspended in space, just dangling. And it's certainly not shooting through free space. The concept of free space, of this void, of this abyss of space, came from the mind. Because again, this is nothing but a screen for your mind to project its own thoughts and beliefs onto. At the end of the day, this is a void. You are in a void right now. You are nowhere. But NASA and these corporations don't have any way to tell people this. Especially not over a TV, especially not to the mass of people. So it's not that they're trying to lie. It's not that anyone is trying to lie to anyone. This is to protect people. But again, those who search persistently enough and want the answers, the information is out there. It was proven in 2022 by 3 physicists that the Earth and the universe is not centrally and locally real. And they won the Physics Nobel Peace Prize for it, or the Nobel Prize for it, sorry. And it's like, why wasn't that shouted out on every news outlet overnight? And it's obvious once you know, and once you expand your horizons, you realize they're protecting these people. They're protecting everyone, because ultimately, again, it's you. And it changes your horizon, your perception of everything when you have this clear seeing of everything. Then you understand these secret societies, these people that hold this truth, they're not trying to keep it from anyone. If they went out and tried telling somebody any of this stuff, they would be laughed at, they would be mocked, they would be ridiculed. So it is a secret society. Those who persist enough or want to know enough will be led naturally to them, or vice versa, wherever. Wherever you feel your answer is, you will naturally be led to. But again, it's reverse psychology. You have hidden something here from yourself. And by you deeming Satan, the Freemasons, and all these things evil, it keeps you from looking and piercing that veil a little longer, because you feel dirty, you feel bad if you look into them because they're evil. But the clock strikes midnight once you look down those avenues, because you'll realize there's more to it than what you thought. Everything you're seeking is just behind everything you most fear. If you most fear death, every single thing you are waiting for, every question you have, is just beyond that door of your greatest fear. And that's why they say there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Fear simply mirrors itself back to you, what you most believe. And 9 out of 10 of us believe with full conviction we are a human being born and will die. And so what mirrors back to us our greatest fear of being this, because everything is built off of our foundational belief, and our foundational belief is who we are. That is our base. That is our foundation. That is our seed in the ground. Everything that we believe in starts as a tree going up, but that is our base, who we believe we are. This is why gurus, this is why people will tell you, look within, look within, look within. They're telling you to re-examine your belief system all the way back down to the system, to the root of who you are. Because all these beliefs are attached to who you believe you are. Your greatest fear is death. It comes from the root of who you believe you are. Death is going to mirror or shape itself in accordance to whoever you think you are, whoever you believe you are. And you won't be able to experience what you actually are until you experience the end, the dying of that belief. And the only way to do that is to pierce the veils, to look within through introspection. Re-examine what you think and who you think you are. See, you can get there very quick, and again, you're already there, but you get what I'm trying to say. You can get to where you're trying to get to and understand much faster when you ask the right questions. Don't ask about reincarnation. Don't ask about before or afters. Let's keep the focus on right now. Who are you? Who is this I? Because the mind is going to constantly keep trying to scatter when you do this. It's terrified because you're backing it into a corner. So it's going to scramble and think of any and every thought and every distraction, every question it can think of to keep your focus off of it. But the more you keep your attention on who am I, but who am I, but who am I, eventually you'll arrive at an answer that you have no words for. You'll have no description. You'll have no word for who you are. At last, somewhat arriving at where you are, who you are, and what you've always been. But it doesn't stop there. Death also comes with a mourning process, as I've said. Many of us, when we die, we expect to meet God, and if you're not who you think you are, then likewise, the mirror opposite is God. God is not what you think it is. You will mourn the death of yourself. What I mean is, you will mourn the realization that you have not been this individual you thought you were this whole time, and you will likewise mourn the expectation you have of meeting this entity you call God, or its mirror opposite. So there's a price to be paid, and it's this is what the phoenix is all about. You burst yourself into flames only to rise again from your own ashes. So it starts off as, mourning and crying, but you rise from your own ashes stronger than ever before. You lose yourself to find more of yourself than you ever knew existed. And the reason you're mourning yourself at this moment is because, again, you have not met yourself just yet. You think you're dying, but you're not. And that's what rebirthing is. The rebirthing is you meeting yourself for the first time. The rebirthing is you realizing and getting past those not negative, because I shouldn't say negative, because they're very essential to the process, but the not so good feelings of crying, sadness, maybe anger. Once you move past that, it's nothing but love, acceptance, understanding. And this is when you will understand why Buddha says, understanding is the highest form of knowledge. Because just like that, in the snap of a finger, when you have mourned the loss of what you think you are, what you think God is, and all these expectations, you are flooded with a simple understanding. And all these questions you once tried to articulate through this entity you called yourself are made clear. You understand them on such a deeper level because you don't need to answer them. You don't need to bring them to words because you are seeing right through the questions because you have just seen. I'm sorry. I apologize. Because you have just seen beyond the questioner. Sorry about that. And once you see beyond the questioner, never again will the mind be able to fool you with its questions, with its tricks, with its distractions. You will always be in sync, in unison. You will always be whole to what you once called God, to what you once called the universe, the cosmos, everything in it. Because again, understanding is the highest form of knowledge. You'll have understanding when you look to the sky, when you look to the sea, when you look anywhere. You'll understand because you have merged the two hemispheres of the brain into the single unity of one. And that's what dying is. We don't realize it, but it is. The two hemispheres of your brain merge into a single unity. One side of your brain is logic, numbers, facts, things you can prove. The other half is imagination, fantasy, things you can't prove, things you have to believe in. So we don't realize it, but a part of who we are as the egoic mind exists in each part of the brain, imagination and logic. It needs both to exist. But when you die, when you see beyond this egoic mind, you merge these two hemispheres into a single unity. You see beyond the dualistic principle to all things, day and night, here and there, you and me, on and off, inside, outside, body, soul, whatever dual principle you can think of, hot and cold. you realize they're all one and the same because they all are the singularity, the consciousness. Duality is not the law to consciousness. Duality is the law to the egoic mind, to the egoic principle. The ego cannot exist without duality. We, however, can very much exist without the principle, the law, the confines of duality. Because, again, duality is not written here. It's written here. And it's coded here. But it's not the law here. Again, there's only one mind. There's only one law. There's only one consciousness, and it is yours. And when you understand this, you are in sync with the universe and everything in it.